So I've been a fat loss coach for the better part of the last 15 years. I've helped well over 7,500 guys who are busy high achievers, drop body fat, get in the best shape of their life, but do it in a way that's sustainable, efficient, and most importantly, fulfilling. Because fat loss can be done in many different ways, but the guys I work with have families, social lives, busy work schedules. They typically are executives, they run businesses, or they just work in a high demand environment where they don't have all the time in the world. So what I want to do today, because I own a company called thetruetransformation.com, I want to condense the 15 years of fat loss advice that I've given out to guys, over the better part of those decades that I've been in this game, into a video that will save you a boatload of time and resources and energy and start getting you on the right track when it comes to your fat loss goals. So my name is Josiah Novak. Like I mentioned, I own a company called thetruetransformation.com, where we help guys and some amazing females become champions inside of their life by getting their health and fitness in order. Health and fitness, in my opinion, besides maybe your faith, is the most important part of your life. Without your health, you truly have nothing. And health is one of those things that you only realize how important it is when it's gone. And I want to just help you get clear on your fat loss strategies today. Let's start with number one, which is the biggest things that matter are calories and protein. You got to get calories and protein right, because at the end of the day, the food that you put in your body will, more than any other factor, impact your fat loss goals from a standpoint of either slowing things down or speeding things up. But it just doesn't end with calories. A lot of people will say calories in versus calories out is the only factor. They're not right, because we also have to worry about the type of calories. But without getting into the weeds and getting crazy with all the different nutrients out there, we want to focus on protein, number one. Protein is the most vital nutrient when it comes to holding on to muscle, building muscle, keeping your body healthy, keeping you satiated from an appetite perspective, and making sure that your meals are well balanced so that you feel great. Your energy's solid, your digestion's good, your skin, your bones, your muscle, everything is just healthy as you chip away at body fat. So we got to get calories and protein right. Calories ultimately determine what your body does in terms of weight gain or weight loss, or even weight maintenance. If you eat less calories than you burn over a period of time, you're going to lose weight. Now, most of that hopefully will come from body fat, but the reason why we have protein as the number one nutrient is because we don't want to lose muscle. We want to lose fat. And yes, you'll lose some water weight. And ultimately, if you have a ton of weight to lose, yes, you'll probably lose a little bit of muscle, and that's totally normal. We can always get that muscle back, but we can prevent, catastrophic muscle loss by keeping your protein levels high. So where should you start with your calories? This is highly dependent on your unique and individual lifestyle. How much do you move? What's your stress level? How much do you sleep? What's your basal metabolic rate? Meaning, what does your metabolism look like right now? Do you have a really fast metabolism? Do you have a slower metabolism? Like, how many calories do you burn every day? That's obviously going to determine where we need to start. But I want to give you guys a starting range so that you can just begin to experiment and you can start to see what certain calorie levels do to your body and your body fat. So my suggestion is to start anywhere from taking your goal body weight and starting anywhere from 10 to 12 times your goal body weight in total calories per day. So let's just use an easy example. If you're 240 pounds and you know that being 200 pounds is where you'd like to be, you take 200 pounds, multiply it by 10 to 12, so that would be 2,000 to 2,400 calories. And that's a good starting range. I can't promise you that it's the perfect range, but I can promise you it will get you close. If you want to get really dialed in and detailed, that's probably where hiring a coach like myself or someone else would come into play and make a lot of sense. And then obviously you have the protein side of things. So I would take your goal body weight, which is 200 in this example, and I multiply it by 1. And that's how many grams I would aim for. And you could once again have a range. You could be anywhere from 170 grams to 200 grams a day, and you're probably going to be just fine. That's where I would start when it comes to your starting point when we're talking about calories and protein. The second thing, this is just brutal fat loss advice packed into this, this one discussion here that I can give you in the time that we have. The big piece of advice that I tell guys right out of the gate is you're gonna need to lose more than you think. So a lot of guys come to me and they're like, yeah, I wanna drop 15 pounds, get ripped. And I'm thinking to myself, man, like you're gonna need to drop 40 pounds, not 15, to get super lean. And this is just because of a couple of reasons. Number one, you probably, in a lot of cases, never got down to really low body fat levels before, so you don't know how much weight your body's actually capable of holding. The second thing is you've added weight slowly over time, and you probably just don't even realize how much weight you've added. And a lot of people like to compare where they are, later in life in their 40s, 50s to where they were in, let's call it high school or college. And what they don't realize is even in those times, you were carrying body fat. So just because you're, 15 pounds heavier now doesn't mean that, that body fat somehow disappeared that you had in high school and college. Like you need to lose that too to get down to the level of body fat that you need to see your abs. We only focus on the body fat that we can see in the mirror, our stomach, our love handles, our chest fat, all the fatty areas that we're just like, man, I just don't like seeing that. But we forget the body carries body fat all over, even in your face, your upper back, your lower back, your legs, your glutes, like body fat is all over the body. So you're gonna need to chip away at that in order to get down to the weight where your belly fat goes away. So you're gonna need to probably lose more than what you think. The other big factor here is a lot of guys and people in general have this number on the scale that they wanna see. Women typically wanna see a lower number, right? The lower number makes them feel better. Guys typically wanna see a higher number so they feel, more masculine about their body. Like saying I'm 200 pounds with abs to a lot of guys feels better than saying like I'm 160 pounds with abs. But what I tell guys is, look, at the end of the day, no one really cares how much you weigh. And you're the only person who knows that number. And if you like what you see in the mirror, you're not gonna really care what you weigh. When I'm my lightest, I look my best and I look my biggest in a lot of cases, because when I chip away at all the body fat and I start to see lines and definition all over the body, the muscles appear bigger because there's less body fat covering all the space between the different muscle groups. So you just look more impressive, but the scale has a lighter number. So what I would do right now, if you're like sitting there going, man, I probably need to lose 20 pounds to see my abs, I would just double that number at the very minimum, just so you get the right frame of mind, and maybe even triple it. Like, who cares? Because at the end of the day, if you see abs sooner, great. But at least like, hey, I thought I had to lose 20 pounds. I ended up being 50. Great. Okay, but in my head, I had 60 as the number. And even if that means getting down to a body fat or a weight that you were never in your life, right? If you were like, man, I can't remember the last time I was 170 pounds. Like I was probably 12 years old or whatever. It doesn't matter. The weight on the scale does not tell the whole story. And I just promise that it's never been the case that I've worked with a guy who came to me and said, I got to lose 15 pounds to get abs. And then we lost 15 pounds and they had abs. It was always more than what they thought they had to lose. So the next point I want to make is you probably aren't, and this kind of goes hand in hand with number two, but you probably aren't carrying as much muscle as you think you are. All right, this is kind of going hand in hand with the scale number. A lot of times guys think, man, when I lose this body fat, and I remember, because I was overweight in my early 20s, I was 65 pounds overweight, and I thought, man, I'm gonna lose all this fat and I'm gonna be huge, right? Like I thought I was carrying a lot of muscle. Really, I was carrying a lot of body fat and a lot of water weight. So I looked bloated, and in shirts, I really filled out a shirt. But once I started getting rid of all the body fat, man, I started to feel really skinny. But the reality check was that I just wasn't carrying as much muscle as I thought. And that's okay. I'm gonna give you strategies here in a little bit about holding on to muscle and even maybe building muscle as you lose body fat. But the big thing here is we gotta remove the ego, all right? We gotta remove the ego. You're gonna see guys and pictures. First of all, the lighting in most professional pictures is perfect. It adds, 20 pounds of muscle to pictures. You're gonna see the guys on social media and, guys walking around who are just genetic freaks. You gotta stop comparing yourself. Comparison is gonna rob you of your own personal joy that you get from this experience of getting in healthy shape and maintaining it. Stop worrying about the next person. It's like, you go out and buy a brand new Mercedes and then you see your neighbor pulls up in a Lamborghini and you're like, oh my gosh, the Mercedes doesn't look as cool anymore. You buy your first house. Oh my gosh, I got my first townhouse. It's amazing. I remember, me and my wife moved into our first house, and then we go to, one of our friends' houses, this huge like single family home. And all of a sudden that nice feeling of having your own home isn't as nice anymore. That's just robbing you of the joy, because I promise you there's always somebody who's going to be doing better than you, and there's always somebody who's going to be doing worse than you. The point is to not compare to either one. Just focus on yourself. And when it comes to muscle, just know that adding muscle is a lifelong experience. And holding on to muscle is really the most important thing, because genetics do play just a massive role in how much muscle you can build. But also you got to remember, a lot of people are taking extra supplements, and this isn't to say that like TRT and hormone replacement therapy and testosterone replacement therapy are bad things. I think they're actually amazing things. And I would strongly encourage you to listen to your doctor. And if you have a trusted doctor who prescribes that stuff, follow it, right? But at the same time, there are guys abusing steroids, right? There are guys taking, 10 times the amount they need to take. And of course, that's going to lead to them adding a ton of muscle. So don't compare yourself to that. You're comparing apples to oranges anyways. Makes no sense. And I think that's where this whole idea of like, oh, I'm holding on to all this muscle comes from, but really it's just body fat. A lot of guys are wondering like, what steps can I take to start losing fat? Well, I have a step for you right now. And that step is simply this. I have a 3M action plan that's completely free. That's your first step. But then along with that, if you're like, hey, I'm done playing games, I'm done wasting time, I'm done trying to do this on my own, I'd strongly encourage you to consider getting a coach. Getting a coach is a hack. I mean, it is like the ultimate hack. Anything I've learned rapidly in my life came from having mentorship. Set aside the ego, set aside the funds that you would put towards nonsense, and put it towards something that's actually going to improve your life. Stop trying to do it all on your own. I mean, if you want to struggle on your own for a while, that's cool. But if you're just like, hey, my time is valuable, I don't want to waste years and years. Josiah is a perfect example. I've wasted so many years trying to do it on my own. And the truth is, once I hired a coach, two things happened. I got results way faster, and I fell in love with coaching. So my next step for you right now is there's links below the description of this video. Make sure you check them out. At a bare minimum, get a free resource. Get something that doesn't cost anything to get you started. Invest your email address, download the guide, start following it. I promise you, you're gonna start getting results. And then when you're ready for the real deal, custom, unique program for you, that's where our true transformation system comes into play. So check those out. And let's go to the next piece of absolute incredible advice. So the next thing to understand is you're gonna have to push through early discomfort when it comes to fat loss. Now, this isn't just like hunger or having to push through a little bit of soreness from working out. I'm talking about discomfort of realizing you have some rough habits, you have some rough routines that you're gonna have to change. You're gonna start to become very self-aware. Like, oh, I'd always grab a snack at this time, or I'd always eat ice cream whenever the craving came around, or I would always order 2 appetizers, or if someone asked me to go get drinks, I'd always say yes. Like, you're gonna start to realize all the things that have led to you looking, feeling, and performing the way you do right now. This is uncomfortable. This is where a lot of people struggle. Now, people often give up in this early stage, not because, the diet's unsustainable. Yes, there's a lot of unsustainable stuff out there. You try to go carnivore overnight, or you try to cut all your carbs. That stuff's crazy. Do not do that. But even in my program that's built specifically for you, like the foods you love, the meals you like, where you like to eat out, all of it's built for you, you're still gonna have to face the facts. And the facts are, you have some routines and habits that are gonna have to change. And you're gonna have to start doing things differently if you want different results. The definition of insanity, right? Doing the same thing over and over and over again, expecting new results to take place, just doesn't work that way. That's truly insane. So if you want new results, if you want to look different, if you want to feel different, if you want to drop the body fat, you're gonna have to face this early phase head on. And it's not always easy. In fact, it's never easy. Otherwise, everybody would be walking around in shape. It's not that people don't want to be in shape. It's not that they're like, yeah, I prefer to be overweight and unhealthy. It's just that they have a hard time getting past these shifts in habits and shifts in routines. It's really, really difficult. You're battling addictions, you're battling traumas, you're battling, comfort zones. And that's why I try to build these resources for you, because I know it's not easy, man. I deal with a lot of struggle myself. It's why I have mentors still. It's why I have accountability still. It's why I have built my entire life around coaching other people, because it's not easy. My encouragement to you is this, and I know it's cliche, but it is true. You have to choose your hard. There's no easy option. even going the route of eating whatever you want, never working out, like just watching Netflix and like, chilling out on the couch all day, snacking on chips, whatever. That also is hard because it comes with the after effect, which is, man, this sucks. I feel like crap, sleep terribly, hate taking my shirt off, super self-conscious, just feeling depressed. Like that sucks. I've been there too. The other side of things is like having to say no to the third drink when you go out once a week, right? Having to say no to the dessert because you already had an appetizer. Having to track your calories for a period of time, having to get a little better sleep, having to go to the gym on the days you don't feel like going to the gym. Yeah, that's hard. But which hard do you want? Because that hard comes with the good results. It comes with feeling great about yourself, feeling good in clothes, taking pictures and not being disgusted by yourself, being intimate with your spouse and not being self-conscious. Like, those are good things. That's the reward that comes from that. And we have to really remind ourselves. So my best advice here is to literally write down the results you want every single day. I know it sounds ridiculous, but if you write them down, they become real a lot faster. And yeah, you're gonna have to face reality, man. Like there is no, shortcut besides the little ones that I'll give you, like the videos I'm making here. There are shortcuts that make sense, but they ultimately still come with some challenges. They still come with having to do some harder stuff. Doing things that most people won't do. If you want to be in shape, and I'm not saying shredded, you might just want to lose 15, 20 pounds so your blood pressure goes down, and that's cool. That's still going to come with a little bit of saying yes to the hard stuff, for sure. The second thing is movement. In this section here, the second thing that I want to talk about in this second part is movement is vital. We always focus on nutrition. That typically is the hardest part for a lot of people because at the end of the day, you eat way more than you work out. There's food everywhere. You're not tempted by a dumbbell. You're tempted by a Snickers bar. So it's going to be harder to master the nutrition side. Imagine driving around, like on every corner there's a gym and you're like, no, I can't say yes to the gym again. That's not how it goes. It's like Taco Bell and Chick-fil-A and Chipotle and pizza. Like, yeah, that stuff's everywhere in your face, hitting your dopamine triggers, wanting the endorphins that come from that first bite. Like, that's all the stuff we deal with. But the other thing we deal with is being sedentary. We deal with sitting around too much and we don't even realize it until you start tracking your steps and you go, wow, I don't move a whole lot. Or maybe I do move a lot sometimes, but I'm not consistent with it. I'm not daily, dialed, non-negotiable, 10,000, 12,000 steps. Movement goes hand in hand with meals because one of the things I tell my clients is when you eat, try to move around that time too. So eat, walk for 5 minutes, eat, go for a 30-minute walk after dinner, or wake up, go for a 30-minute walk, then eat breakfast. Movement and your meals should go hand in hand because movement will help regulate your appetite, will help keep your digestive system healthy, it will help keep you from feeling sluggish after you eat. It does a number of things, right? Helps your mood, helps you ward off cravings. But movement is vital. You have to have the calorie output on top of the calorie control in terms of food coming in. And working out 3-4 times a week ain't gonna do it, dude. Though that's good. That's the muscle side. You gotta do that side. But the daily calorie burn comes from everything you do outside the gym. Sleep is important. Gotta get our solid amount of sleep. We'll talk about that. But you gotta keep movement as a priority. Speaking of sleep, the next thing I wanna say is sleep is underrated. Everybody wants to talk about cardio, nutrition, training, but I would rather see you get 7 to 8 hours of sleep versus getting 4 to 5 hours of sleep, waking up and having to go train every day. I would say, dude, cut out a training session 3 times a week. Work out 3 times a week max, and on 4 days, make sure you're getting 7 to 8 hours of sleep. Because sleep will regulate so much. It will keep your cortisol levels healthy. It will keep your appetite at bay. It will keep you energized when you are training, and then it'll help you recover. It does so much. I mean, somebody who gets great sleep is gonna lose fat easier than someone who gets terrible sleep, period. Not to mention your health. This isn't just about losing fat, even though this video is about fat loss. It's about getting healthy. And sleep is a primary driver of health. How much sleep should you be getting? Well, I would suggest getting in bed and being in bed for 7 to 8 hours a night. Doesn't mean you sleep for 8 hours. Doesn't mean you sleep for 7. You might sleep for 6. But you're in bed, you're relaxing, you're winding down, you're reading a book, You're doing something to get your body in rest and recover mode 7 to 8 hours a night. Sleep is highly underrated. If you've enjoyed the video this far, or if you're listening to the podcast, whatever you're doing, just do me a favor and like it or leave us a review or just leave me a comment and just say, hey, like this was super, super helpful, because I want to know if this doesn't help you. I want to change it up. I want to make sure I'm giving you stuff that actually is going to benefit you in your life. Transformation isn't a one-man show. My whole role here is to be one of your team members, one of your vital assets and resources and mentors to help you make this whole thing called fitness way more efficient, way more sustainable, and ultimately one of the parts of your life that you actually enjoy. So if this video is helpful, let me know. Like it, leave a comment, and review and subscribe to the show. Controlled hunger is normal. That's the next point I want to give you here. Controlled hunger is normal. What does that mean? It means that you're going to feel hungry, dude. You're not going to be immune to feeling a little bit hungry. That's called being a human. And I think one of the things that we all struggle with fat loss is we're so used to just giving in to every little hunger signal. Oftentimes it's boredom. You're just bored. You're like, let me fill this next 5 minutes. What can I do? Well, I can snack on something. Or you're watching a movie. You're like, I'm just so used to the habit of grabbing something to eat. Or you're thirsty. You just don't know that you're underhydrated. You're dehydrated. So you start to reach for something to relieve that hydration issue. A big one for a lot of guys is stress. Stress tends to lead to bad habits. And the laundry list is huge here, right? There's a huge list of bad habits that guys and people in general fall into when it comes to dealing with stress. But one of the number one things people do is eat. So why? Why is this a big deal? Well, because stress is a hormonal, typically it comes with a hormonal response. Your cortisol goes to the roof. So you go, I need something to raise my dopamine, which is the feel-good hormone that combats that hormonal response from stress. What gives us a dopamine response? Anything new and tasty, and that's food, right? So we're driving around and we see, oh, there's a little shop I can go get something to eat that's gonna relieve me from the rough day I just had. If it was a tough day at the job, tough day with the fam, food, that's the answer, right? Well, that's not the answer. And that hunger signal that you're getting needs to be ignored. We need to fill it with something else. But at the end of the day, when you're losing fat, you're in a caloric deficit, meaning you're burning more calories than you eat. So it's totally normal to get closer and closer to meal times and feel hunger. And at times you're gonna feel some pretty big time hunger signals. My biggest advice is get on a meal schedule. Eat at the same times all the time. So if your meal schedule calls for 3 meals a day and a snack, try to get those in around the same time to get your body in rhythm. So it starts to get used to eating when it's time to eat. Not whenever you feel like eating, randomly throughout the day. Like, oh, it's 10:53. I'm just getting a little hunger signal, so I gotta eat something. You're not going into starvation mode. Your metabolism's not gonna slow down. Don't worry about any of that. Eat the total amount of food you need to eat, get the right amount of protein. I promise everything's gonna be all right. And your hunger will get under control over time. This is also kind of going in line with that first phase that I talked about where you get a little uncomfortable and it's kind of hard. This is part of that. You have to get used to this. And then eventually the hunger goes into the background and you don't even think about it anymore. And there's so many things you can do to learn to get better with your hunger, like fasting. You can learn to control your hunger. That way you can learn to just get comfortable with it and almost thrive in it. Which leads me to this tip, which is hunger, my response at least, is always good. Heck yeah, dude, I'm losing fat. If I feel hunger, that means my body has to use body fat, and that means I'm getting leaner. So heck yeah, let me sit in this hunger and just enjoy it, because that means I'm burning fat. I know it sounds silly, but it works. This is what you got to do. This is the mindset shift that you got to make. And I promise you, over time, you get used to that. All of a sudden, it fades in the background. You don't even think about it anymore. Which leads me to the next one. Identity design is a crucial part of the process. Right now, you identify as somebody who struggles to lose fat, or you identify as somebody who wants to be in shape. It would be kind of nice to be in shape, and I don't know how to get there. Or you identify with someone who's too busy to be in shape. That's just who you are. That's your identity. And identity is a big deal because it dictates your behaviors. Let me give you a whole example of this. So there's something called getting into character that top movie actors talk all about all the time. My mom was an actress, and she was big into theater growing up, and she even was so good that she got a scholarship And she was just one of the top people in the industry in her area for a while. And I always heard about this getting into character thing from her. And that was, I had to become the person I was pretending to be, right? And what that results in is a better performance. And at times, even believing for a while that you are this person. There's been so many actors, I think one of my favorites, Daniel Day-Lewis. And he does very few roles. He's not in, multiple movies all the time. He does one movie like every, 5 to 10 years. But he gets into the character so deeply that he becomes the person that he's playing. And he doesn't shift, he doesn't break character. And it's no wonder he puts on masterful performances. Now you can use this to your advantage because while it's hard to immediately design an identity around being fit and healthy if you're not there yet, because maybe you're looking in the mirror going, yeah, I'm not the guy with abs. I'm the guy with a huge stomach hanging over his pants. That's who I am. But what if you just pretended? What if you're just like, hey, when I'm out to eat, what does the guy with abs do? Let me just be him. No, guys, this is the choice I'm making. I'm not going to have 4 drinks tonight. I'm going to have 2. I'm going to order, a side salad instead of a side of breadsticks to start because that's what I do to maintain my abs, or to get in shape. That's just who I am. You start making decisions off of who you're going to be because you're playing the performance right now. You're pretending right now, but eventually it becomes reality. That's what it means to redesign and design the identity you want and the identity that's going to lead you to the results that you're ultimately after. It's not easy. It does take practice. None of this stuff is easy, guys. It's why nobody can do it all the time. It takes practice and you're going to screw up. I screw up all the time. But when you have these anchor points that you can lean back on, it becomes so much easier to get back on track and ultimately stay on track for extended periods of time. Less volume, more intensity is the next key point. When you're trying to lose body fat, the answer is not to do a ton more when it comes to your workouts. What is key though, is we want to train to build muscle. We don't want to go in the gym and do a bunch of circuit training, a bunch of running around, trying to sweat and burn 1,000,000 calories. Let the walking, maybe some of the prescribed cardio do all that. Weight training should be about holding on to and building as much muscle as you can. And that goes for everybody walking the face of the earth. Muscle is not what you think it is. It's not this bloated mess that makes you look cartoonish and out of proportion. Muscle is there to strengthen your body so you don't get hurt. It's there to allow your tendons and your joints and everything to work properly. Yes, does it look good? Yeah, it does, for sure. Think about, anybody you look at their physique and go, wow, I like that. Typically, they carry an above average amount of muscle in certain parts of their body. So we always want to train, especially during a fat loss phase, with the intention of building and holding on to muscle. So what that means is stop doing 1,000,000 exercises. Stop running around trying to fit in as many sets with as little rest as possible, for 30 to 45 minutes or even an hour. Instead, focus on quality over quantity, getting stronger, less sets, but stronger on the reps, lifting heavy in a safe, controlled way, using machines, using cables, using things that allow you to do heavy lifting without getting hurt. Everybody I've ever trained, from 80-year-old people down to the 50-year-old person, down to the person who has back issues and knee issues, we all lift heavy. It's just, how do we do it? That's the whole unique and custom construction that we put together, like at the True Transformation, right? So if you're sitting there going, yes, this is it. This is what I need. This is the guy to help me. He's got a family. He understands that he was overweight, right? If that's what you're thinking, just check the link, man. The link in the description, link in the first comment. That'll get you on the right path. It's either a free resource or our program. And we also have plenty of courses to get you there if you can't afford our program. If you hop on a call with one of our team members and they're like, this is it, and you're like, yeah, it's not ready to make that level of investment yet. We have other levels. Just get into our world. We will help you get on the right track. We have your best interest in mind. I mean, that's what this is all about, is getting rid of all this stuff that's not true and performing based around truth. Having truth as our main guiding light. That's the key here. So just make sure when it comes to your workouts that they're centered around building muscle and not just burning a bunch of calories. Next point is tracking your data will speed things up tremendously and allow you to sleep at night. What do you need to be tracking? I would suggest a couple things. Your calories, that's number one. What you eat. Use all the apps, or use our app if you're one of our clients. There's an app that we use that's our app that you can take pictures of your food, track the amounts that you're eating, and you get a crystal clear picture of what you're putting in your body. Tracking your calories and protein will make nutrition 10 times easier. The second thing I would track is your steps. Knowing how much you're moving around every day will allow you to figure out what you need to be doing more of or less of. And then if you want to start getting crazier, and I don't mean crazy like, oh my gosh, it's going to be insane, but I'd probably track how much you sleep, because that might be leading to problems that you don't realize. So if you start tracking your sleep and you're like, whoa, I'm only sleeping 5 hours a night. What if I snuck in an extra hour? Well, that might lead to better motivation, better mindset, better appetite control, more energy in the gym, which ultimately leads to the fitness goals that you have. So start tracking your data, because data doesn't lie, and it will allow you to sleep at night knowing you're doing what you need to be doing to get the results that you want. If you want faster results, hire a coach. Hire a coach who has been there, done that. It's not about just hiring a famous name or some cool program that has 1 million followers. It's about hiring someone who has been in your shoes and has helped countless other people who are in your shoes get the result they want. The proof is in the pudding, right? This is about putting your ego to the side and saying, hey, I spend so much time and money on so many useless things. Why not put it into learning a skill that I can use for the rest of my life? Why not use my resources to get accountability, to save myself the headache, to save myself time? That's what mentorship is all about. It's not about throwing anything at the wall and seeing what sticks. Like, oh, let me try this diet this week. Let me try this workout plan the next week. And then you're all over the place. You waste so much time. Just get with someone who's done it already. Like, that's the hack for life. It's not about fitness either. It's everything. You want to be good at something? There's someone who's good at it already who can tell you how they did it. And you just do what they did. It's really that simple. And it's worth a lot of money, because think about all the time you'll waste. Think about all the money you'll waste. Man, I wasted thousands of dollars on supplements, and a lot of bad supplements, by the way. I wasted a lot of money on buying, nutrition books that just told me to like cut out, gluten. That's how I was going to get ripped. It told me, oh, if you just stop eating red meat, that's how you get ripped. And it's like, it's all nonsense. These people are just trying to make a quick buck off of your mind, right? Your desire for that shiny object, that quick overnight result. A mentor is different. A mentor says, hey, I just want to share with you all the things that didn't work, all the things that did, and build something together for you. It's like my favorite sport, which is UFC. A UFC fighter has coaches. He has a mentor who can tell you, like, these are the things that you need to be doing. These are the things you don't need to be doing. And let's guide you to the top, right? Let's go together. Or if you're climbing like Mount Everest, you don't go and do it on your own. You hire a Sherpa, right? You hire a guide who's like, yeah, don't go down that path. You're going to die if you do that. Don't go on this path either. You'll slip and fall. Go up this path. This is the fastest way to the top. And when things get weird, I know the other ways. I know how to work around things. I know all the problems that are going to take place, and I already have the solution. I've been there, done that, done it 1 million times. Follow me. That's what coaching is all about, and it will save you so much headache. So if you've enjoyed this so far and you're like, what is the next step? The next step is simply to go to the description of the video, download the free guide, or hop on a chat with one of me or my team members to get you squared away with a custom plan built for your unique needs. That is the next step that I would take if you're trying to transform your body permanently for the rest of your life. So hormones, everybody's gonna say, oh, anybody who got in shape, they were using steroids, they were using, testosterone, HRT. And yeah, some people are. And here's the thing, hormone replacement therapy, testosterone, these are performance enhancing drugs. These aren't bad if your doctor prescribes them and you need them for health reasons. And yes, will they help you lose body fat faster? Yes, absolutely. A healthy body that's hormonally dialed in will definitely drop fat faster than someone who isn't. But it's not a cheat. It's not like someone's doing something illegal. These days it's completely legal. You just have to decide, like, do I want to have performance enhancing as part of my protocol? Some people don't, and that's okay. But here's what I would shy against. Don't knock someone if they do that route, right? If they take that route, don't knock them. And if you're called to take that route, take it if it's the healthy choice, right? But is it a magical drug? It is not. It's not going to take care of the fat loss if you're not eating the right amount of calories, working out, moving. It's not a replacement for the basics. It just enhances your performance, right? So you have to have the performance already. It's like if you're driving a Ferrari and you put the wrong gas in it, right? Or you don't take care of the tires, well, your performance is going to get hindered in a big way. But if you put better tires, You put the right amount of gas, or the right type of gas, you tweak the systems a little bit to make sure that they're fully dialed in, then you'll enhance the driving experience. That's what hormone replacement truly is. You have to have the performance already there. You have to have the Ferrari already there. It's just about adding the things to make it better. That's really the game changer when it comes to hormone replacement. Does it work? Yes, it does. So use it if it makes sense, and if it doesn't, don't hate on the people who do. Which also leads me to the latest trend, and depending on when you're watching this, it might be a trend, it might not be anymore, but Ozempic, the appetite suppressing, appetite control drugs. Do they work? For a lot of people, yes, they do. There are people out there really struggling. You might be one of them who are carrying a lot of extra weight, and you really struggle with food addiction. You really struggle with controlling your appetite. I'm not going to dive too deep into the Ozempic stuff or any of the appetite control drugs and peptides that are out there. But what I will say is that they could be a tool in some cases, as long as they're paired with the right habits and the right routines. As long as you're using them responsibly, meaning you're doing things with movement, muscle, and meals. And you're not thinking, oh, I'm just going to take Ozempic and walk around maybe a little bit and let the drugs prevent me from eating food, and that's how I'm gonna lose weight. All you're gonna end up doing is getting skinny fat at that point, where you're carrying a bunch of fat, but you lost all your muscle, and now you just look like a skinnier, yet still a little bit fat version of yourself. Not to mention, you're not taking care of your health, and you're not building a foundation that will result in the program being a part of who you are permanently. You got to build the habits and routines along with the tools. That's just another performance enhancer. That's all it is. If you don't have the performance, there's nothing to enhance. So if you're going to take the performance enhancing drugs, make sure your performance is dialed in. So as we wrap up today, I want to say the last point I'll make is to surround yourself with winners. What is a winner? I think there's so many traits that go into being a winner. The number one thing about a winner, though, is they don't like to see other people lose. They actually want to see other people win. A winner wants to surround himself with other people who are crushing it. They don't feel intimidated by it. They don't feel threatened by it. They're not out to prove anything. They're not ego driven. They're not like, oh, put the spotlight on me. Look how great I am. That's not what a winner is, man. A winner is somebody who's like, dude, I want to be around greatness. I want to be inspired by greatness. And I think one of the biggest hacks that has helped me over the years when it comes to mastering fat loss and fitness is I like to surround myself with people who are really doing well. And I like to celebrate their wins. I think one of the mental pieces that a lot of people struggle with is this whole insecurity around other people's success. They get tied to this whole idea that, I want to see you doing well just as long as you're not doing better than me. That's a recipe for disaster. It's a scarcity mindset. And it results in a lot of shortcomings, a lot of personal struggle, and ultimately it will bleed into every part of your life. So even your fitness goals, you might say, yeah, I want to lose weight, but you start looking around and you're threatened by other people who are doing well, who want to give you advice, want to be around you and support you, but you're like, nah, I don't want to be around them because they're doing better than me, and that's not going to serve me. That's just not true. Community is everything. Success, when set up properly, a successful environment, the success is contagious. That's one thing about our company, the True Transformation, that I think we get right, better than most, is the community aspect. Having you surrounded with winners, people who are doing really, really well, but ultimately care just as much about you winning as they do about themselves. It's rare. We live in a world today that's like ego-driven, selfish, everybody's trying to get theirs, everybody wants to be popular. Everybody wants to have the spotlight, the likes, all this nonsense. This is in the business world too. People are ultra competitive. And I get that. I mean, I understand the level of competitiveness that sometimes drives people's behaviors. But what I can tell you is, besides having a mentor, having other people alongside you in the journey itself is a massive win. It's a massive leg up. It's a massive hack to be in an environment where you see other people doing the stuff you're doing, getting good results, crushing it, helping you stay motivated, helping you stay accountable. It can just level you up in so many different ways, not just with your body, but just in your mindset. Just the gratitude that you experience, the fulfillment, and yes, the lack of scarcity, the abundance that you'll experience is amazing. And it just, the mind follows the body and the body follows the mind. They're two pieces that work together. So you got to work on the brain too. It's not enough to just track your calories and work out and all that kind of stuff. No matter how healthy you want to be, you need to be working on your brain and how you think and how you operate in this world, because a lot of it is tied together. And you'll notice that, yeah, I'm struggling in this area, but really what I'm struggling with is all these other things. And this is just one of the areas that's affected by it. So I'll leave you with that thought. Winning and being surrounded by winners is a huge, huge cheat code, and one I would strongly recommend you implement. Well, guys, I'm going to wrap up there. Hope you enjoyed this one. If you did, let me know. Let me know in the comments. Let me know if you're listening to this. Subscribe to the show, and let me know in a review if you enjoyed it and what you'd like to hear me talk about more. If you want more fat loss advice, that's what I do. It's what I've been in the game of doing for a long period of time and won't stop anytime soon. Your next step, like I said, subscribe, like, and then of course, download the free resources and book a call. If you're called to book a call and you're like, this is it, I'm done wasting time, I want to get real help, come join a team that cares about you winning more than we care about winning ourselves. That's what true transformation is all about. And we'd love to help you. If you're a busy professional, with a family, demanding job, busy schedule, but you're like, dude, I just want to look, feel, and perform my best, and I need something sustainable. We'll build it for you, and we'll keep you accountable, and we'll make sure that you get there, and we'll surround you with winners, coaches, people who want to see you succeed, and life will never be the same. That's all I got. I'll leave you with this thought. Life moves fast. Make it count. I'll talk to you in the next one. Peace.